Okay. This evening, Commonwealth Secretary General support for Ghana amid border controversy with Venezuela. Join us as we delve into the Commonwealth's stance on Ghana's sovereignty amidst Venezuela's recent enactment of the Organic Law for the Defense of Essequibo, highlighting concerns over international law violations and the importance of peaceful dispute resolution. Plus, Minister Edgehill introduces guidelines to regulate truck movements on Ghana's roads. Stay tuned as we explore the Ministry of Public Works' efforts to improve road safety by implementing fundamental changes aimed at regulating truck movements, including restrictions on excessive hours of operation and stricter enforcement measures. Also, police investigate alleged shooting incident at Charlotte Street. Get the latest updates on the investigation into an alleged shooting incident targeting a laborer at Charlotte Street border as authorities work to apprehend the suspect and ensure justice for the victim. Additionally, President Ali calls for a ceasefire in Gaza, denouncing violence and genocide. Here, President Ali's impassioned plea for peace and justice in Gaza as he addressed the nation during the National Ramadan Village event, emphasizing Ghana's commitment to humanitarian aid and global peace efforts. And Mexico cuts diplomatic ties with Ecuador following embassy raid. Stay informed as we discuss Mexico's decision to sever diplomatic relations with Ecuador after police raided the Mexican embassy in Quito, leading to the arrest of Ecuador's former Vice President Jorge Glass. Don't miss these top stories and more. Welcome to this broadcast of Channel 2's Headline News Update for April 8, 2024. I'm Bibi Bacchus. Thank you for joining us. First up, Commonwealth Secretary General Patricia Scotland, KC, reaffirmed the Commonwealth's support for Ghana's sovereignty amid the ongoing border controversy with Venezuela. She expressed concerns over Venezuela's recent enactment of the Organic Law for the Defense of Essequibo, which seeks to assert control over Ghana's Essequibo region. This move by Venezuela is seen as a direct contradiction to international law and previous agreements, including provisional measures issued by the International Court of Justice and the Joint Declaration of Argyll for dialogue and peace between the two nations. Scotland urged Venezuela to abide by international law and manage the dispute peacefully. She emphasized the importance of the ICJ process and called on Commonwealth member states to support Ghana in resolving the matter peacefully. The dispute over Ghana's territory, settled in 1899 through an arbitral award, resurfaced in the 1960s, with Venezuela claiming the Essequibo region. Ghana seeks affirmation of the 1899 award's validity in the ongoing ICJ case. In other news, Minister of Public Works Bishop Edgehill has introduced a series of guidelines aimed at regulating truck movement on Ghana's roads during a meeting with the truck drivers and members of the Ghana Police Force Traffic Department. Among the fundamental changes is the prohibition of excessive hours of operations for motorized vehicles. Minister Edgehill emphasized the importance of ensuring that drivers receive adequate rest between long periods on the road to avoid fatigue-related accidents. Furthermore, Minister Edgehill emphasized that violations of these guidelines will not be tolerated, signaling a stricter enforcement approach. The minister also addressed concerns regarding the weight of trucks leaving mining sites to prevent damage to roads. To facilitate compliance with weight regulations, Minister Edgehill announced the approval of the purchase of scales to be used on the roads. Additionally, the police will focus on several areas of concerns, including uncovered trucks causing spillage, trucks transporting mud and slush, and drivers parking or driving on road shoulders. Before concluding his presentation, the Public Works Minister made a special appeal to truck drivers to be vigilant and considerate, especially towards female drivers. He is urging female drivers who witness reckless driving incidents involving trucks to report them promptly. The meeting provided an opportunity for truck drivers to raise individual concerns and discuss road usage issues. On a different note, police are investigating an alleged shooting incident at Charlotte Street border, Georgetown, around 9:40 a.m. on Sunday, April 7. The victim, identified as Weston Hines, a 35-year-old laborer, was reportedly targeted by two unidentified men wearing face masks. According to investigations, one of the assailants, armed with a handgun, approached the victim, who was standing opposite the Truth, Power, Glory and Sanctuary Church on Charlotte Street. The suspect demanded belongings from the victim and discharged a round from the handgun, hitting the victim in his left upper thigh. The suspects then fled the scene on a motorcycle. Hines is currently receiving medical treatment at the Georgetown Public Hospital Corporation. His condition is reported as stable. Police investigations into the incident are ongoing, with details about the motorcycle and suspects yet to be determined. Stick around when we return. Man arrested for assault and AK-47 ammunition found at Buxton residence, and 70-year-old man found dead in front of home in Georgetown.
This Mother's Day, celebrate in style and give mom the chance to win big. Simply top up with $1,000 or more for a chance to be one of 5 lucky winners of a brand new, fully stocked French door fridge with groceries worth over $550,000 each. One winner will be selected weekly from April 5th to May 9th. Start topping up today. Digicel, the network for everyone, everywhere.
Good girl, forget things.
What's the problem, Granny?
I want money for borrow for those surgery. I was dancing and I fall and fracture my hip.
If you need some quick money, you should check Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop.
Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop, Lot 238 South Road, Border, Georgetown. Get jewelry made to order in just 72 hours. We also accept vehicles. Lender's, best rates, longest payback period.
Boys, I get through. Plus, I could dance again.
Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop.
Furnishing your home or office has never been easier. Here at Kissoon's, our inventory of locally made and imported furniture, offered at amazing prices, will leave you wanting more. From vinyl, floor rugs and carpets, bedroom, dining and living room sets, mattresses, pillows, office desk, chairs and filing cabinets, outdoor benches and tables. We have a piece of furniture for every room imaginable in your home or office. Check out our flagship store at Industrial Site Rijnveld or one of our branches in New Amsterdam, Port Morant, Riverton and Camp Street. Kissoon's Furniture, furnishing homes for over 50 years.
Sneakily with a gift of sight from Modern Optical Services. Let our professional team examine and prescribe what's best for your eyes. Current smiles make fashionable faces. See us for a full line of optical services, including brand name and prescription eyewear. Modern Optical Services, 316 Mill Street, Georgetown, telephone 226-1082.
Welcome back. President Dr. Mohamed Irfan Ali reiterated his call for a ceasefire in Gaza, denouncing violence and genocide during his address at the National Ramadan Village event on Wolford Avenue, Georgetown. The gathering, held in observance of Laylatul Qadr, a significant night in the Islamic calendar, focused on a night of prayer for global peace, Guyana, and Palestine. The event raised an impressive $72.5 million in donations to provide immediate humanitarian aid to Gaza and occupied Palestinian territories. The funds will be handed over to the United Nations Relief and Works Agency. President Ali hailed this achievement as a historic moment for Guyana and emphasized the country's commitment to charity and humanitarian efforts. He praised the collective efforts of Guyanese citizens in contributing to the cause, highlighting the nation's unity and generosity. Strongly condemning the ongoing violence in Gaza as a form of genocide, President Ali emphasized the importance of justice, equality, and compassion in addressing global issues. He urged the world leaders to speak out against injustices worldwide, asserting that terrorism and violence have no place in modern society. The president's call for a ceasefire comes amid reports of over 33,000 Palestinian casualties since the onset of Israel's retaliatory attack on Gaza. He underscored the need for collective action to end the suffering and restore peace to the region. Moving on, Clinton Chase, a 70-year-old resident of Middle Road, Le Penitence, Georgetown, was discovered dead on the northern parapet in front of his home around 10:30 p.m. last evening. Investigations revealed that Chase lived alone after being deported from the United States over a decade ago. According to details provided by his granddaughter, Chase had fallen from his motorcycle in front of his home. The granddaughter received a call from an unknown number informing her of the incident, and upon arriving at the scene, found her grandfather lying motionless on his back. Police and emergency medical technicians were called, and upon examination, several wounds were discovered in Chase's right side jaw, left upper arm, and chest. Chase was pronounced dead at the scene. His body is currently at the Memorial Gardens mortuary awaiting a post-mortem examination. Investigations into the circumstances surrounding his death are ongoing. In other news, a 36-year-old man from Middlewalk, Buxton, East Coast Demerara, has been taken into custody after allegedly assaulting and threatening his child's mother with a firearm. Responding to a report of domestic violence in Regional Division 4C, police discovered 15 live AK-47 ammunition rounds at the suspect's residence. The victim reported that the suspect had pointed a gun at her during an altercation. Although the firearm was not located, the ammunition was seized and taken to the Vigilance Police Station for processing. The suspect remains in custody as investigations continue. Don't go away after the break. British Royal Navy makes multi-million-dollar drug seizure in the Caribbean, and Ukraine war. Kharkiv residents plead for air defense amid relentless Russian attacks.
This Mother's Day, celebrate in style and give mom the chance to win big. Simply top up with $1,000 or more for a chance to be one of 5 lucky winners of a brand new, fully stocked French door fridge with groceries worth over $550,000 each. One winner will be selected weekly from April 5th to May 9th. Start topping up today. Digicel, the network for everyone, everywhere.
Good girl forget things.
What's the problem, Granny?
I want money for borrow for those surgery. I was dancing and I fall and fracture my hip.
If you need some quick money, you should check Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop.
Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop, Lot 238 South Road Border, Georgetown. Get jewelry made to order in just 72 hours. We also accept vehicles. Lenders, best rates, longest payback period.
Boys, I get through. Plus, I could dance again. Lender's Jewelry and Pawn Shop.
Sneakily with a gift of sight from Modern Optical Services. Let our professional team examine and prescribe what's best for your eyes. Common Smalls make fashionable faces. See us for a full line of optical services, including brand name and prescription eyewear. Modern Optical Services, 316 Mill Street, Georgetown. Telephone 226-1082.
Furnishing your home or office has never been easier. Here at Kissoon's, our inventory of locally made and imported furniture, offered at amazing prices, will leave you wanting more. From vinyl, floor rugs and carpets, bedroom, dining and living room sets, mattresses, pillows, office desk, chairs and filing cabinets, outdoor benches and tables. We have a piece of furniture for every room imaginable in your home or office. Check out our flagship store at Industrial Site Rijnveld or one of our branches in New Amsterdam, Port Morant, Riverton and Camp Street. Kissoon's Furniture, furnishing homes for over 50 years.
Welcome back. Now we take a look at what's happening in the region and around the world. The British Royal Navy says its warship HMS Trent seized drugs with a street value of £16.7 million in 2 separate blows to drug runners in the Caribbean. The Royal Navy said British sailors Royal Marines and a U.S. Coast Guard team on HMS Trent intercepted a smuggling speedboat immediately following a port visit to Martinique. The warship launched her fast seaboats to intercept the speedboat, seize the drugs, and detain the crew. Across the two operations, the HMS Trent seized 200 kilograms of cocaine and other drugs. The Royal Navy said the HMS Trent has now seized drugs worth £307 million since it began operating in the Caribbean at the end of 2023. Mexico has cut diplomatic ties with Ecuador. That's after police raided the Mexican embassy in Quito. They arrested Ecuador's former Vice President Jorge Glass, who had been evading detention in the Mexican embassy since December. Al Jazeera's Katrina Lopez Hodayan has more.
Police stormed Mexico's embassy to arrest Ecuador's former vice president. The raid came hours after Mexico announced it would grant Jorge Glass political asylum and urged Ecuador to offer him safe passage to leave the country.
Delincuentes! How can these criminals raid the Mexican embassy in Ecuador? It's not possible. It can't be. It's madness. Yes, they've arrested a former vice president. I'm very worried because he can be killed.
Entiendo que sí. Ecuador's former vice president had been evading arrest and staying in Mexico's embassy since December. He was arguably his country's most wanted felon. Convicted twice for corruption, the 54-year-old was suspended from his duties in 2017 after being charged for allegedly receiving millions of dollars in bribes. More accusations are being investigated.
For many Ecuadorians, it felt like a mockery of justice that he was granted asylum in the embassy. Glass and López Obrador are political allies. There's an ideological connection there, and a lot of Ecuadorians felt that this was a way of mocking us.
Glass has repeatedly said he's a victim of political persecution. President Andrés Manuel López Obrador has suspended diplomatic ties with Ecuador.
Mexican diplomatic personnel in Ecuador will leave the country immediately, and Mexico will appeal to the International Court of Justice to hold Ecuador accountable for violations of international law.
Ties between Mexico and Ecuador were under strain well before the arrest. Now they've reached a new low in a case that's ignited an international political crisis. Katia Lopez Odayan, Al Jazeera.
Internationally, as India prepares to hold an election, an uninhabited island between India and Sri Lanka is fast becoming a campaign issue. The rights to Kachativu and the waters around it were ceded to Sri Lanka in the 1970s, but India's BJP is blaming the opposition Congress and DMK parties for that decision. Al Jazeera's Manili Fernandez reports.
Singaria's son Jalson is in a Sri Lankan jail, and she says it's because he's a fisherman from southern India.
They have captured him because he went to fish. Since he was the boat driver, he has been given a 6-month sentence.
Jalson is one of more than 178 people from Tamil Nadu arrested this year for illegally fishing in Sri Lankan waters. Most get sentences from 6 months to 2.5 years, suspended for 5 years. This means imprisonment is guaranteed for repeat offenders.
Hundreds of thousands of families are dependent on fishing here. It is only for our livelihood that we cross the border. We are not doing it on purpose. Even the government is aware of it.
The growing number of fishermen being jailed has led to protests in South India. The community says they have fished in these waters for generations. But the problems began when India ceded control to Sri Lanka of the island of Kachativu and surrounding waters between the two countries in the 1970s. This annual feast on the island draws thousands of Indian fishermen and their families. But this year they boycotted the event. As campaigns heat up ahead of general elections starting in India this month, politicians are weighing in on the tensions. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has accused the opposition of being callous towards Kachchatev, saying, quote, "It has harmed the interests of our poor fishermen and fisherwomen in particular." Sri Lanka has dismissed the rhetoric as politically motivated.
India has an election now, and this kind of statement comes during elections.
Indian fishermen operating in its territorial waters and landing stock worth more than $40 million every year are not Sri Lanka's main concern. It says what is the fact they're destroying the marine environment.
So I think we're faced with these vessels simply not being able to catch enough within their waters and going beyond to try and find what they can.
With their own waters empty, Indian fishermen find the rich pickings in Sri Lankan seas a major draw. Locals here in Kalpitiya on the western coast say Indian boats are now regularly fishing in these waters.
Local Sri Lankan fishermen told Al Jazeera they are badly affected.
The fishermen earn day to day. When the Indian trawlers come and carry the fish away, they lose their daily income.
Back in Tamil Nadu, many people like Singari see political statements on Kachchatev as an election gimmick and one that won't get their jailed family members returned home. Minel Fernandez, Al Jazeera, West Coast, Sri Lanka.
Finally, explosions rock Kharkiv, leaving residents desperate for air defense amid relentless Russian attacks. Fear grips the city as civilians face continued bombing, blaming authorities for insufficient protection. Homes destroyed, lives shattered as civilians endure relentless horror. Al Jazeera's Charles Stratford reports.
There is nowhere safe in Kharkiv these days. Russian bombs, kamikaze drones and missiles can strike anywhere and at any time in Ukraine's second largest city.
I was standing by the window. Shards of glass injured my face. I fell on the floor. My wife gave me first aid. We came outside and it was complete hell.
Neighbors and friends comfort each other. They make temporary repairs to their wrecked homes. But there is mounting fear of increasing Russian attacks involving what ballistic experts say are repurposed Soviet weapons. The so-called glide bomb, fired by a jet fighter out of range of most of Ukraine's air defenses. People in this neighborhood say there is no strategic or military site here. There are attacks like these happening day and night across Kharkiv city and the wider region. And for every attack, the fear amongst the people who live here is growing. And there's rising anger among some residents who accuse the authorities of not doing enough to protect them. I won't touch him, shouts this man to the mayor of Kharkiv's bodyguards. Are you telling me to fight? He asks the mayor. You go fight, because I remember on the day of the invasion you were just planting flowers. You now just sit in cafes drinking.
Once again, there are explosions in Kharkiv, and that's why people are so distressed. We need air defense. We have to close the skies.
Across the city, smoke rises from more burnt-out homes, destroyed this time by an intercepted Russian kamikaze drone. The remnants of people's lives broken and scattered in the dirt. The charred remains of an animal, a pet, maybe. 67-year-old Galina sifts through the rubble of her home. She moved to Ukraine from Belarus almost 50 years ago. Shock. Nothing else but shock, she cries. Hopelessness. I don't know what to do. I live alone. What can I do? Russia says it doesn't deliberately target civilians and it's trying to hit Ukraine's strategic and energy infrastructure in revenge for Ukrainian attacks across the border. Empty words for the people of this city, many of whom, like Galina, are terrified and struggling to cope. Charles Stratford, Al Jazeera, Kharkiv.
This brings us to the end of the regional and global news coverage. Up next is the 30 weather forecast. And that's Safety V2 headline news for this Monday evening. As we take our leave, we invite you to follow us on Facebook and YouTube. You can tune in tomorrow at 6:30 a.m. for a rebroadcast and at 7 p.m. for more news. Until then, please take care of yourself and each other.